Hi guys, and welcome to the Lunge Lift podcast. Today we are joined by a very special guest, Mr. Dan Williams, one of the founders of WIT Fitness and WIT Training, and WIT House London, all the different branches nowadays. And we're also very excited to announce that WIT is our first official sponsor of the show, and we have a discount code for all you lucky listeners to make a purchase at wit-fitness.com. Use the discount code LL15 and you'll get 15% off your purchase, which is, very amazing. Exciting.
Thank you very much, Dan.
Thank you, Dan. And check out the new spring range, which has been released this week. And let us know what you think, guys. But anyway, on to the show. Dan, welcome. Thank you for your time, mate. How are you doing?
Good. Thanks for having me. I thought I might get an invite one day, so it's an honour. I'm looking forward to it.
Brilliant. Yeah, well, we're honoured to have you grace us with your presence. For those of you who haven't met you and don't know you, could you give us a brief backstory? Tell us how you, from my point of view, I know you that you're a very good runner, and then went into sort of an entrepreneurial phase around uni time, started a cleaning company. Maybe let's start there and then work towards the WIT years.
Yeah, sure. So like you said, I was a very good runner, not any particularly high standard, but I used to get to like British universities finals and things like that when I was at uni up in Leeds. Ran the 400 meters and for Leeds Uni and Leeds Met, and also for Sale Harriers in Manchester. And I carried on doing that a bit after uni with the kind of false dream that I might make it as an athlete one day. And unfortunately, fortunately for me, I realised pretty soon that wasn't going to be the case. Unfortunately for other people, as you know, in a lot of sports, people drag it out thinking that one day that goal will be achieved. And unfortunately, sometimes it just doesn't. So I kind of gave up fairly early with the ambition of going to earn some money, basically. And I did start a cleaning company in Leeds. So it was actually whilst I was running. Obviously, I wanted to do something to kind of keep myself going at the same time. And me and a friend madly started this cleaning company for students in Leeds, where we literally used to go around students' houses and clean them. And our USP was it's a crazy USP. Like, talking about USP now, this one's embarrassing, but we used to try and clean the house in like 60 minutes to 2 hours, which I don't know how we did because it's impossible. We used to go with a group of cleaners and do that. Anyway, I kind of got lucky and started cleaning commercial properties off the back of like knowing a few people in Leeds. And then over the 7 years, from like cleaning student hellholes to when we sold the business, we were cleaning most of virtually all the bars and nightclubs in Leeds, which is equal hellholes, far more profitable than student houses. And obviously and offices and things like that in Leeds and surrounding areas. And when I sold that business to a larger like national franchise, made a little bit of money, and it was kind of where next. I actually at that time started CrossFit off the back of giving up running. I'd started going to the gym, and then I'd stumbled across CrossFit as a lot of us had, and it filled a real gap in my life from when I'd given up running. And I'd been competitive with myself and my peers every day. The CrossFit environment gave me the ability to do that. And when I was there, literally in the first couple of weeks, someone said, "What do you do?" I was nothing. They come, which is a British company based in the north near Yorkshire. We're looking for a national account manager. So I thought, I want to get into sports and fitness. That's what I want to do. I want to work for myself in it. But at the moment, I don't know what that will be. And I worked for them for about 18 months. And while I was with them, I noticed that with them and with CrossFit, what was happening, there was like a fashion movement emerging from this cult sport of CrossFit. Like everyone in these boxes around the country, this is like 7 years ago, was wearing the same shoes, same clothes. And it was something that you'd never seen before in the gym. Like as you guys will know, you quit uni, you go to the gym in your rugby shorts, rugby shirt, and running trainers. And that was what you wore to the gym. And it started to change at first in the CrossFit environment, but then in like a boutique fitness environment, as you've seen in London. But then it started to kind of push out into the gyms. And off the back of this, like the brands took notice. So Nike, Reebok, etc., started to produce product for people training. Like they were taking training seriously as a sport. So I thought, training is a sport, and it has the potential to be the biggest sport, in the world in its own right. And I thought, why not start a business to cater for that customer? So I had the idea with Sam, my business partner, who you know, to start a retail business, bringing all that product from all those brands specifically to the fitness and training consumer. And we focused entirely on CrossFit at the start, but the goal was always to service the wider fitness consumer, because we think now we've got the product that everyone in the gym should be wearing. And I know you two will agree. And I think because we're the only retailer doing that still, and we were the only retailer doing it now, we've grown rapidly in the space of 5 years, and we are where we are now in London with an amazing gym as well as a store, but also a global retail business, which is what we've grown into. So it's been a wild journey, but that's where we're at now.
I tell you what, seeing like the WIT brand out there beyond just like the gym walls as well, as in, it's when you start seeing it on TV, you start seeing it across like all of social media in general. Like it won't even be someone promoting WIT; it'll just be them wearing WIT, and and for myself, I'm privileged to say feel part of that, and it's just to see the brand grow to the level that it has. It's an amazing thing to see.
Well, yeah, thank you. I mean, you two were part of it, the journey, when 3 years ago, when it was just a small store and a gym and a small online business. And if you saw someone wearing WIT, you would know them. It would be. But now I'm like, when I commute to work, I'm like cycling through Clapham Common, and people are wearing WIT, and I have to double take because I think I'm going to know them, but obviously I have no clue who they are. So it's amazing, really, and you guys have seen it firsthand, so it's cool. It's a cool journey.
That's incredible. And you must have had so many pinch yourself moments as the brand's grown. Like, talk us through some of the highlights along the way, because I guess when you started with Kitsch in those early days with the small store in Bow Street, just
Intersport underneath. I remember that. I remember going down there and not knowing WIT at the time and thinking, what is this amazing shop with all this cool gear? Obviously knowing nothing about WIT at the time. It's like, they got these things called like Metcons, and it's like, what are these? These are cool trainers to train in. It was, God, that was a cool space of time.
I mean, was the vision always this shape, and has it changed along the way, or like
the vision? So when I had the idea, I had a feeling it was the idea. So I thought this is the thing, this is the one, and I thought that from day one. So I never wavered. And the plan was always to have a global online business built off the back of physical sites, which we're still doing 5 years on. And that's still the plan. But from a pinch yourself perspective, I haven't had many. If I'm honest, I'm always like machine-like. I don't think about the present or the past. I'm always like, honestly, I know it sounds boring, but I'm always like going forward. I always think that we're only like an incremental way through the journey, so there's nothing to get excited about yet. I think so with regards to work-wise, I haven't had many moments. I think there's things that I've done along the way, experiences I've been privileged to have because of the business, that have stood out, like maybe one standout moment would be seeing all our branding around the arena in the CrossFit Games and on CNBC in the US, and then a few personal experiences, like working with brands. You get invited to amazing events. Like I went to the Joshua Klitschko fight. I think that stands out, and that will always live with me, because you look around, you're thinking, I'd never afford a ticket to this. So this is cool. So with regards to work and professionally, like I'm really kind of tuned into like the end goal more than anything.
Great. And what do you think is, I guess, giving you that mindset? Do you think it's from the sporting background where you've just had a really strong drive to achieve at a high level? And also, I want to go back to your running history. You're being very modest. Let the listeners know your top 400 meter time, if you don't mind.
Well, I was 48 something, low 48s, I think.
It's really ridiculous.
And I could have been. I'm really going to be a lot quicker, because I was really good when I was 16 to 18, and then I didn't do anything at uni for 3 years, as we all do. You know, the same story for everything. And I came back to it when I did my masters. So at which point I was not quite as good, still in the like 48, 49, but yeah, frustrating. But and that's maybe a frustration that's driven me, to be honest, because I didn't quite achieve what I know I could have been better at that. Like I know that, and I'm sure it's the same with people in so many sports. So like this is what I want to be good at. This is what I want to be known for going forward.
Fair enough. And you mentioned the opening of the gym space, WIT House London. Can you talk us through how that idea came about, sort of evolving on the store concept, and how it's changed the business overall?
Yeah, so I'm sure a lot of your listeners will know what the environment is like in like class-based fitness studios, be that CrossFit or spinning, Barry's, anything at Gymbox. You know, those classes, like they cultivate a community. And what we were trying to do was, before we opened the store, was we'd go to events or we do pop-up stores. And we were trying to cultivate a community around our brand through experiences, like being experiential as well as online. And we just thought, what better way to do that than to open a space in London? And it was twofold, really. It was to create a members community, because you know then you can really like learn about the consumer and like foster that core community. But it's also to have this space for the wider London community to come into, to go to events and you know experience athletes to come into the store, like be it CrossFit athletes or all sport athletes. Product launches, like it's a community. We see it as a community like haven, and it's really worked as expected. And it's allowed us to like project the brand globally as well as locally, because you can see it all over Instagram. And I think it gives us a real USP compared to anyone else.
Yeah, I think the gym environment itself was such a unique thing, that the fact that anything you need, you can then just go and walk upstairs at the time, go and get it. And especially, as you know, with like CrossFitters, we loved to have all the gear, to have all the accessories, and make sure you got a nice new top to wear that you're going to take off straight away. And like it's as you say, it's the experience that you buy into. And I think especially within CrossFit, that it created that whole everything, which beyond even just consumerism, it also created a whole different mindset towards training, because then you start thinking about your mobility, your recovery, your nutrition. Like it becomes a lifestyle thing, which is essentially what people buy into when they start CrossFit. And I think with WIT, they could see that how that complemented their lifestyle, because for all the offerings that they offered, from whether it's like the clothing to then the coaching downstairs to then when we have like nutrition support, it's just that full package. And that was, as you say, like that was like the USP, that was the unique thing that you just don't see in many other boxes.
Yeah, you're right. It's a whole like holistic, like 360 we were trying to pull together, and we do cater for what we call the fitness obsessed, and it's people that train basically 4 to 6 days a week, 7 days a week, as you guys will know, some of your clients training probably 14 times a week. But and those guys spend a lot of money, but it's not bad. Like, and I don't feel like bad for that, because it's their lifestyle, like you said, Rob. Like, for them, that's going out on a Thursday or Friday night, so they're choosing to spend their money on that to better themselves. So, and that's just what we're offering them.
Yeah, it's definitely a unique thing, and you know, I think once kind of the gyms reopen and everything kind of comes back to a bit of like normality within, say, the fitness area, it would definitely be nice to kind of get that energy back. And you know, I think that's one thing that WIT has always been known for as well, is the energy behind like the coaching and the classes, and like the level of detail that kind of, especially within like downstairs sides. Obviously, I can't talk about the retail side stuff, but within the coaching element, that was known for, you know, the high level coaching and also the people caring. So
yeah. No,
so we've got the gym is obviously a key milestone in the evolution of the WIT brand. What have been the other sort of inflection points in growing the brand? I've heard the story about a big Noble order in the very early days, and maybe Kitsch nudging you or something. Can you talk us through that? Because now they're obviously the sponsor of the game.
There's been a few instances like that, probably. I mean, I'd actually highlight our first Nike order as the best instance when because we launched the business before the Nike Metcon franchise was launched. I think it was like 6 months to a year before. And when we went into Nike, you have a seasonal sell-in where they show you next season's product. And we'd heard on the grapevine, the CrossFit grapevine, that Nike were launching this shoe called the Metcon, and they didn't pitch it to us, they didn't show it to us. So I was like, "Where's this shoe, Metcon?" And they found it, and it was called something weird. It was called something else, and we were like, "Oh, we need 2,000 of those shoes." And bear in mind, at that point, we were selling like 30 of each shoe, and they were like, "No, you can't have 1,000. You can have 30." So we were like, "Okay." So I think in the end we got like 100, and when we launched the shoe, because back then we were more physical than online, as you know, in that little basement, we literally sold 100 shoes in 5 minutes. We had queues out the door onto Bow Lane because people were waiting for this Metcon. So then we went back to Nike and said, "Oh, we told you we wanted 2,000 shoes," and it was kind of that cemented our relationship. And then other milestones, I think definitely things like 2018 CrossFit Games, like being a partner at the CrossFit Games with a massive stand there. Even going to America is our own brand, becoming a brand, rather than just merchandise. The guys, and like you said, Rob, that you're seeing that out there. Like, we're proud of the fact that we're developing a brand which stands up against any training brand. And then the signing of Sarah Sigmundsdóttir, for me, is one of my proudest and best moments, because she's an elite athlete in her sport, and which is our sport, but she also transcends CrossFit to the wider female fitness market, because she is the archetypical body type, and what girls aspire to, and we took her away from one of the major athletic brands in the world. So I think that the Sarah signing is right up there.
Yeah, amazing. I think as the respect for the brand and awareness grows, like seeing the big names come into WIT, like even England rugby players. I remember Owen Farrell came down for a day, and the Saints are on the books as well now. Like, I'm amazed that you don't have pinch yourself moments, because I have them when stuff like that happens at WIT, and I get to meet Owen Farrell, and like Sarah and other games, like Matt Fraser was down as well. I think the fact that the brand has that much pull and appeal has just been amazing to see it develop over the last few years. So that's incredible to be a part of, to be honest. So what's next, Nate? What's on the horizon? International expansion. Obviously, Brexit's been a bit of a ball ache. What's going on there?
We've been a tough year. Like for everyone, it's been a tough year because effectively our business was built around online. Like most of our revenue, as you know, is online. But we got the space in London, which has a retail store and a gym. So that's 2 revenue streams we haven't had for 9 months. But also like events. Like, as you know, we went to big events literally every month. And last year we had, I think it was 15 events in our calendar, including like Wadapalooza, West Coast Classic, CrossFit Games, German events, French events, English events. So all of that revenue was kind of stripped away. And also, as well as revenue, that's like getting the brand out there. Like, events are so big for that. So losing those 3 things was a blow. And even though online, has been brilliant, I'm not going to lie, online has performed incredibly well, more than expected. Then when you just about think you're over it, then the government decides to basically ban all shipping to Europe. So for the last 8 weeks, 10 weeks now, we haven't had a European business. We've literally overnight 25% of the business gone. So we've had to deal with that, which so that's the immediate term is sorting that out. Which in actually next week we launch a German warehouse. So we're going to service the European customer amazingly well. So it will actually fast track the business in that perspective. And then the rest of the year, just that continued focus on digital, really, just because we know we can control that. And from June onwards, if and fingers crossed, when everything's back to normal, I hope to show for everyone in London to see what we used to do, what you guys remember we used to do. Those big energetic events, like you said, Rob, like try and create energy, try and get athletes in there, try and host fitness events like that. That is what we want to do again, both in London and in the UK, Europe, and the US. So it's very much building the digital business, but around that.
I think what I think something interesting about like the journey that you're still on is the fact that there are all these challenges that are coming along, and you're having to deal with them like as you can, as fast as you can, especially because a lot of this is a complete unknown. So how have you managed to like come up with a lot of these, say, like solutions? Have you been like able to pull back on previous experiences from, like, because obviously having other businesses as you've been and been an entrepreneur for such a long time, have you found it relatively easy to kind of like, you know, facts, figures, numbers, right, this is going to work? What kind of struggles have you come across there, or none?
So a lot of struggles. I think the last 12 months for everyone in every walk of life is obviously you've learned a lot about yourself. But I personally do find I thrive under a bit of anxiety and pressure. I kind of almost like sadistically enjoy it more than like a normal life. But this has been especially challenging because it's been constant. I think I've performed well in this circumstance, but I think the team that I've got around me have been exceptional. You know, everyone has kind of, if I've told them to do something and pivot to a certain focus, they've done it without question. You know, they realise that, as you guys have seen with our team, it's like the loyalty is like to a man. You know, there, and I can only like thank them for getting us through this period. You know, it's much them as me. And things like European Challenge, they are massive challenges. Like you're basically losing 25% of your income overnight, and you've got to find a way to solve it. And I think, you know, the senior team around me that we've hired over last year, like Kate and Steph, and obviously Sam, who's there, and those guys. Again, without them, I wouldn't have been able to do it, because I with the Europe thing, I'll be incredibly proud when we open on Monday, because 10 weeks is not bad to go from nothing to a full European distribution. So everyone's been incredible, really.
Yeah, I think it's something from, like, as an external, it's just felt like there's just been this. It's looked like you've been level-headed. That's how it's kind of come across, as in, like, it's not the panic and not the what do we do? It's just like cool, calm, collect, and that was why I just think about like all your previous endeavors that you've gone through, as in maybe how some of those have maybe helped in this. The fact that yes, it is a complete unique situation and at such a large scale, but you've had those experiences where you've been able to pull on before, of being able to keep calm and collect. And my thing behind that is, for being how successful you are now, that I say is, what advice would you give to anyone else wanting to either start their own business or maybe further their own business and create something as anywhere near as epic as WIT?
Well, I mean, to your point about not panicking, I think the key is when you're under a bit of personal anxiety or pressure, you can't in any circumstance let that reflect on the rest of your team. In moments like this time last year, when they suddenly closed down everything and businesses had no support and nothing coming, like, people in the office aren't stupid, you know, and you guys, you know, we're in our team, you're in a slightly more fortunate position than the full-time employees, given that you had other stuff going on, but they're not stupid. They think, oh, if put two and two together, I think if everything closes, then we haven't got a job. So I have to, you know, it's that confidence in, you know, like keeping that panic to yourself, and, you know, working with your senior team to kind of find a plan, and making sure that the junior team and the rest of the company feels secure, because they're going to be the ones that help you through it. And I think in my first role in the cleaning company, I think I probably was far more reactive and kind of panicky in difficult situations. So I think the learning probably did come from that.
Nice.
Awesome. How did you build such a great team? I think that's one of my favorite things about working with WIT is the guys and girls that you've hired are all legends. And
yeah,
I think that's something that it always interests me about new companies, is those first few hires. Like, I know there's been a couple of people who've been banging on the door for years to get a job, but what are the key things that you've looked for to hire such a great team?
Sometimes I struggle to answer this question, because once you hire your first few people, if you get them right, like you said, it kind of becomes like endemic and like almost organic. Like it's almost like good people will find other good people. and people with the same mindset will find people with the same mindset. So as soon as you like, whether it's the people banging on the door that don't really go through an interview, process, or whether it's the people that go through a full interview process, like Kate and Steph, who you guys don't know that well because of the pandemic. Like everyone is the same mindset, and everyone is a good person. And like you say, there's some funny guys in our business, and it is crazy how tuned into each other everyone is. I think it helps in our sector because, let's face it, everyone likes training. If you've got that one common, this is what we all love to do together, it's really helpful. And I assume other companies don't have that. And because, as you know, I love training. Because I train, I'm probably one of the guys who trains 10 days a week, 10, 40 times a week. But because I do that, I think it kind of drips down the company. And when you've got that common passion, it's probably easier than not. But it's hard to answer that question. It's always just happened, to be honest.
It's leading by example, what you've done, essentially.
Well, I try to, but I'm slipping down that leaderboard each year.
It's going to be interesting to see how everyone does in the Open this year. Some very varied training routines to see how performance has been affected. Would you say that's one of your favourite aspects of running the company, Dan? Like just doing the team workouts and throwing down together?
100%. It's so that not having that the last year has ripped the soul out of the company a bit. And everyone's been amazing on Zoom, and like I said, they've stayed engaged and focused, but it's not the same. And even just that Thursday class or the Christmas parties, summer parties, like not having that is just it's not the same.
Yeah, it's so I kind of want to take just a little right turn here and just ask a little bit something personal that I've seen. Why did you become a pescatarian? What's the deal with that? Because I've and you had a nut roast for Christmas, and just these are things I'm not used to seeing. So I just what happened there?
Interesting you say pescatarian, because I've actually only had fish twice in 7 months.
Okay.
I'm trying to go full hog, but full hog, that's the wrong word. I'm trying to go full whack, but so basically I've been through a bit of really like the personal journey of the last 12 months. Again, I think a lot of people have, looking on social media, like I've really like discovered habits that I think I needed to install but I hadn't had the opportunity to do before. And that's improved my life like tenfold. But the vegetarian thing or pescatarian thing was that it was like I don't do the cold showers like you, Rob, but I thought I need a few things to challenge me, and I did. Each month I had a different challenge, like I'll walk 10k today, or I'll get up at this time for this month. And for August it was vegetarian, and then I did August, and I thought, I know you hear this a million times, but I thought my body and my mind feels better. The only thing for me was the bit of weight loss, which I'm skinny. It's annoying. So, but once I managed that, which is not hard to do, you vaguely tuned into nutrition. I just thought it works.
It's good to see, and that isn't. I don't want it to come across. I might sound like I would like to say talking down, but it's not at all. Like my missus, she was pescatarian. That's why I said kind of pescatarian, is basically vegetarian for all of her childhood, all the way up till probably about 18, and then I kind of got her into meat and steaks, and now loves a good solid like medium rare steaks. Great, but there's like, for the amount of people that do feel better not eating meat, I've got many clients that have like made a switch or gone for periods of time. So it's like, I understand that. And even when I did a month, I did 30 days of being a vegan, and that was I liked it to some degree, but I missed meat way too much. I just it wasn't then for me. But it's just an interesting thing, and I think when you are in tune with yourself, as you are there, you notice, okay, cool, I'm losing a bit of weight and stuff, so you can make those changes to make it fit your life better. And I think if you're going to make any changes during a pandemic like this, is probably the easiest time to do it, because you've got so many less factors coming at you, trying to have these chicken wings, or while you're having this beer, and you're not getting those like influences, so you can really solidify habits and routines early doors. And so
I've got a question.
I think you're right.
I've got a question on the habit, Stan. I've heard a rumor that you wake up at 4:30 to read history books. Is it true?
Say that. I wake up at 5. So I, like many people, I read the 5 a.m. Club, which I'd recommend to everyone. But by the way, that book doesn't mean you need to get up at 5 a.m. I think people misconceive it. Like, it just that there'll be habits in there that may improve your life. But I've always got up early, so now I just get up a bit earlier. Yeah. But whereas before, I used to work straight away. I literally used to work straight at 5:30, 6 a.m. Now I don't do that. Whether it's a walk, or a read, or and it's not the same thing every morning. I'll just do that. History books. I think they're more political history and like world affairs. I don't know who told you that.
I can't remember. I think it might have been Josh, but yeah, I'm always interested in those sort of.
Told you. Yeah.
I think it's great though. It's definitely something that I found. It's even like, just little things like not looking at your phone as soon as you wake up. Letting your body adjust to who you are, not being influenced by outside factors. That was like, because I'm pretty similar to you. I'll be waking up at say 4:35 most days. Just how I get my day started. Because if I wake up say just before my first client say or something like that, especially now over Zoom, it's very easy to do that. But it just means I'm on the reactive the whole time, rather than having that bit of introspection, having my water and stuff like that, and having some me time, especially like with my young daughter and stuff. It's once she's up, like, that's it, you're in, and that's it. Until then she goes to sleep, which is at night now, is like there's no time for yourself. So it's finding that time. And I find just when I started to make that little bit of extra effort of getting up that little bit earlier, made such a difference to just my mindset on how I see life in a way, because you don't take it so seriously a lot of the time then, because you know who you are.
I think it's
I found that as well.
A game changer, yeah.
Yeah, like I've added in my reading in the morning versus I read before bed as well, but I think that's been an absolute game changer just in terms of where your head's at first thing in the morning. Like you say, Rob, before you check your phone, you're so much more receptive to new ideas, and there's just a greater sense of peace to spend a bit of time on the things that you want to do.
Do you change the type of books you read in morning and night? You do that, so you're a bit more like productive and stuff in the morning, and fiction at night.
What do you read?
So basically anything that's a bit more engaging and sort of developmental in the morning. So I'm reading The Inner Game of Tennis at the moment, which is all about sort of sports psychology and stuff that would actually I can implement and learn. And then in the evening, I'll read something a little bit more, fiction or sort of out there to just send me off. I have a 3 yawn rule, so I'll read until I've yawned 3 times, and then I'm ready to sleep.
Nice. I'll tell you what, as a fiction book for the evening, I've just started listening to an audio book which I was recommended off another podcast, Red Rising by Pierce. Can't remember, mate. Fucking good book. I'm genuinely, I'm listening to it. I'm like, I want to listen to more. I'm like, what can I do so I can listen to this book? And I love that, because it's like, I haven't had that really from like a fiction book. I haven't really read loads of fictions, but since I was like in school reading like Harry Potter type shit, that was a long time ago. So it's like to have a fiction book that I'm drawn to listen to, and it's just a whole, because I listen to so many like self-development, like productivity, all that type of crap, that it's like listening to fiction, it just opens up a different part of the brain, and it really, it's so good. So any books that you'd recommend, Dan, except for 5 a.m. Club?
So actually, he joked, but I don't read fiction. I do read like political history books and like international politics books, and they're not the kind of books that most people will read. But so that's what I do. I'll read like a development book in the morning, and then in the evening I'll be one of them. But I mean, the 5 a.m. Club is a great book, and I think the reason people have put off that is because they think it's saying you need to get up at 5 a.m., which it really is to the core, but there's just habit, isn't it? And obviously Shoe Dog is one of my favorite books. and everyone should read that. I think it's an inspiring book.
Yeah, it's incredible. I just read that, and it's been on my list for a long time. And I think I just didn't expect it to be so beautifully written. Like, the story is amazing, but one of my favorite bits was actually when he described his gap year, and he basically, in the space of about 6 pages, does a round the world trip, but gives you an amazing sense of the magic and just discovery that he had in all. Like, it would be like half a sentence about a whole country, but it would just pack in so much a sense of that country and what he took from it. So yeah, highly recommend anyone as well to get on Shoe Dog.
It's inspiring because it's inspiring, but it also shows how much hardship you go through as a startup. Because Nike was a startup, wasn't it? And also because it's tinged with like tragedy, which most people's lives are at some point. It's just a bloody good book.
There's that Matthew McConaughey one as well, which I still need to. Everyone says you have to listen to it better than reading it. So, and that's apparently supposed to be unreal as well. So, as in like on obviously a autobiography kind of side of front about struggles and stuff. But yeah, Dan, it's been an absolute pleasure today, mate.
No, thank you for having me. It's been fun. Thanks. Really enjoyed it.
Thanks a lot for listening, and again, Dan, thanks a lot for coming on. Really do appreciate it. As always, if you did enjoy this episode, please do share around. And as Ash mentioned at the start, we now have a new discount code, which is going to be in the description box below. LL15, was it? That's right. It. LL15, 15% off at wit-fitness.com. So definitely get yourself over there and buy yourself some stuff. Apart from that, as always, good feedback, always welcome. So, the cheeky 5 stars. Next week is our 1-year episode. So it'll be really good. If you do have any questions, try and get them in ideally this week. It'll be great. And we get them answered live on the podcast. Had a couple of voice notes. So any of those will be welcome. It's really good fun to go and play those live in the episode. But again, thanks a lot, Dan. And we'll catch you guys next week.
Cheers, guys.
Thanks, guys.